Hello everyone, this is Austin Wiebe, just making another video. God really did pay a very hefty fine for our sins. I mean, he sent his son down to be mocked, rejected, spit on, uh, beaten, and eventually crucified so that you and I won't have to face our sins on Judgment Day. I mean, that is such a huge price to pay. And there's two separate responses I've seen to that. There's the first response, which is, man, Jesus did it all. So now I might go to church, I might read my Bible, and I'll pray. And then I guess I'll just wait for Judgment Day. All right, so that's the first response, okay? The second response is, man, you mean to tell me that I was that valuable to God? I mean, God the Creator sent his son to die on the cross for my sins? I mean, man, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? You want me to follow the commands of the Bible? I'll follow the commands of this book, every one of them. You want me to go out and witness to the homeless? I will witness to the homeless. You want me to feed the homeless? I'll feed them. You want me to care for the orphans? I will care for the orphans. Just anything to be following the God of this book, right? So those are the two separate responses that I have seen in this world. I want to be careful how I say this because I don't want to start some kind of Christian debate here. But, we really do need to, honestly, as a whole, we need to put down our opinions and pick up the Bible and ask ourselves this question: what kind of Christian, what kind of believer does Christ want us to be? Right? I honestly think that the number one reason that Christians walk away from church today, I think that the number one reason that there are so many unbelievers in the world today, that there are so many atheists in the world today, is just simply because we all want the God of the Bible to work in our lives, but nobody wants to live biblically. Right? We all want the God of this book in our lives, but no one wants to live like John the Baptist. Nobody wants to live like Peter, right? But could you imagine if we just threw caution to the wind? Seriously, if we threw caution to the wind and just started living like this book tells us to. I mean, just sell everything, move into an apartment, give the money to the homeless. I mean, if we started just like, going down to the homeless and just like, man, I'll feed you, I'll do whatever I can for you. Could you imagine what God would do in our lives? Could you imagine what would happen if we actually started loving our neighbor as ourselves? Can you imagine what would happen if we actually started, caring for the orphans and, just praying for people, praying for the lost? Could you imagine what would happen in our lives? And just preaching the gospel everywhere we go, right? So that's what would happen if we just follow this book. But here's the thing: eventually, after doing that, we would need this book, because there is a cost to doing that. And we could just be like, okay, man, some people don't like me. Why don't people like me? And just open it up. Oh, the world hates me. Just know that it hated Christ first. And man, my family doesn't really seem to like this. Why doesn't my family like this? Well, anyone who loves his family more than me is not worthy of me. Okay, well, I get that, right? Eventually we would start needing this book to know what's going on in our lives. But could you imagine if we just threw caution to the wind and just actually started following Christ, the stuff that Christ would do in our lives? So now, my question for you is this: what kind of Christian do you think that Christ wants you to be? Do you think he wants you to be the Christian that waits until Judgment Day? Or do you think he wants you to be the kind of Christian that follows him and his word? And I'm not going to give you the answer. I want you guys to actually look it up for yourself. Okay, thank you.